on crisis and killings in Benue. And with us via Zoom, we have Honorable Solomon Iopev. He is the SA Media to the Governor of Benue State. Good morning, Solomon.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning.
I'm very well, thank you. Now, looking at these killings and the massacre in Benue State, what immediate response did the governor give to, this issue? How is the state government engaging, the grieving and displaced people?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. First of all, our hearts go out to everyone who has been affected remotely or directly by these killings. It's been heartbreaking for all of us here in Benue State. We're totally devastated by what's happening in the state. We pray that the good Lord will keep us away from these things happening again. And our prayers go with everyone, including all of us who are here. This incident happened about 2 nights ago, uh, in between 9 p.m. and it's sustained for for about 2, 3 hours. So when the report got to the governor in the morning, the immediate thing was to deploy more forces to the area to check on what is happening and to seek for more interventions to be able to bring to a halt what was going on. And so that was what happened as soon as the incident took place. And then we also deployed the people from SEMA and the other agencies to go take a look at what is happening and to see how they can bring immediate succor to those who are affected immediately. That was the immediate thing that happened. And then, of course, His Excellency reached out to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. They had a discussion, which led to the deployment, the President sending to the state the CDS and the IGD of police with the determination and the call to ensure that this never happens again in the state. So these were the immediate actions the governor took. And as I speak with you, we're expecting the president to be in the state on Wednesday in continuation of the efforts to ensure that this very sad event doesn't happen again. So that's what I can tell you for now.
Okay, but aside from making efforts to prevent these incidents from happening again, what about those who have lost people from these incidents and those who have also been displaced as well?
And that's what I told you earlier. I told you that SEMA is a state agency that takes care of all of these incidents. And so they're on the ground as I speak with you, checking out those who have been affected, moving them to camps, and trying to provide for them in terms of what they need immediately. I told you that earlier in the course of the discussion.
All right. Now, we know that these incidents, these killings, this is not the first time it has happened in the state. Now, how would you say this particular incident it differs from the rest, in terms of people, the number of lives lost and, everything surrounding it?
Well, it's quite unfortunate that this incident has continued. If I give you a little background, before now, the herders have lived here with us in Benue State. And anytime, sometimes they will come and return back to their places, and then come when the dry season, when farmers have already harvested their crops, and they'll come to find food, whatever was left over for their cattle to feed. And then eventually, if anything happened and any of the cattle ate or destroyed the crops or the farms of the farmers, there was a settlement that was looked into. That was about years back. And then gradually, it became an aggressive approach where cattle rearers, we saw them carrying AK-47s, we saw them carrying AK-49s, and they became more and more aggressive. to what is happening. Now, what we're experiencing is an attempt to annihilate the people of Benue State, to kill them, to destroy them, and to occupy their lands. This is beyond farmer herder crisis. This is about killing to these are bandits, these are criminals, these are terrorists attacking the state in an attempt to occupy the state. That's exactly what is happening. They come in their numbers of bikes. They come in hundreds. They come two, 300s at a time carrying guns without cows. Even if they are herders, they have disguised themselves as criminals, as what do you call them, as terrorists, because they are not coming in with cows. They come in on bikes hundreds, 200, 300 of them, and they attack a whole vulnerable village, killing them in their numbers, destroying their farms, destroying their yams, burning them to ashes. That's an attempt to take over the land of Benue State. They're killing to occupy. That's exactly what this group of people are coming to do in Benue State. This is beyond what we have known before, where crises happen between farmers and herders, and then the settlements were sought. That's not what we're seeing now. What we're seeing is the total annihilation of the people of Benue State. And they come in their numbers, as I told you, with AK-47s and AK-49s. These are not herders. These are criminals. These are terrorists. And until we admit that this is exactly what is happening to Benue people, we're not going to get a solution. Cattle rearing is a business. If you want to rear cows, if you want to rear cattle, it's your private business. Care of the business, your own personal business, in the faces of others. Farmers don't take their farms to your houses. Farmers don't take their farms to your streets. Farmers go to their farms. Other businesses stay in their stores. So if you are rearing cows, why don't you rear cows in your own territory? Why don't you find a place to put your cows? This is modern day. We're in the 21st century, for heaven's sake. Nobody carries cows around anymore. It's not done. So what I can only say, I can advocate that the people should run their businesses privately and leave the people alone and stop killing the masses because of their cows.
How many IDP camps are currently being catered for, by the state, and what are the conditions like in those camps?
Now, when you talk about IDP camps, some of those IDP camps are not caused just by crisis. There are several issues that cause people to displace. Some of those displacements are caused by floods. People are displaced from their homes as a result of floods. But majority of them, as we speak now, are in because of insecurities and those running away from what may happen if they stayed in their communities. And so, as we speak now, I I can tell you for sure of the ones I know. I don't have the exact figure in my head, but about 16, 17 of those major camps that I know about. And when His Excellency came on board, there was no statistics of who was where in any of those camps. So the first thing he did was to take statistics of the people who were in those camps so that he would begin to take care of them in the area while we worked on making sure that they returned to their ancestral homes permanently. All right, so that's what has been happening over time, and I think that is almost done. Somehow we have better details of that as we move along, but that's what has been done, and better uh, provisions have been made for them. Some of them have been enrolled in healthcare programs where they're taken care of. Some of them have been enrolled in what you call we have a beauty hub where we have some of them enrolled in learning trades for themselves. His Excellency has also created an IDP camp, farming area where each family is entitled to 1 hectare of land, so that while you are there in the IDP camp, you are also taking care of your family from the 1 hectare that you have until such a time when we'll take you back permanently to the place where you are. Water has also been provided for most of those IDP camps, solar powered water has been provided in most of those IDP camps. And there are places where the stay now is much better than how it was before His Excellency came on board. It is not the best place to be. It's not a permanent place for them to be. His Excellency is making efforts to take them back to where they are supposed to be, and we're working very hard on that. And that's the reason why the durable solutions was introduced. It's a 3-year plan where before the end of the period, these people, the social amenities are provided back in their places, whatever they needed, their housings are provided for, and then they are moved back to where they're supposed to be. It's a three-step durable solution plan.
Now, looking at the effects of these issues of violence and killings in the state, aside from the ones we know, which is the loss of lives and the loss of homes, what would you say are the other effects of this issue in these communities, and how can they be addressed?
Well, the truth about the matter is, everyone who is affected by crisis or whatever form of displacement is first of all affected traumatically. You're traumatized. Psychologically, you are affected. You can imagine someone who was living in a three-bedroom apartment now has to come and live under somebody else's roof. That is for those who are living with their brothers and sisters in other places, or you go to an IDP camp where you're staying as squatting in an area that is less than human. So that affects you psychologically. It affects people in that way. And then a lot of things are also affected. The economy of the state is also affected because the income of those people has dropped. Whatever they used to have as their source of living has been cut off from them. And of course, they become more dependent. Some turn into beggars. Children drop out of school. They are no longer able to meet up with their schooling calendars. And some of them become wayward at the end of the day because not any reason of their fault, but because of the situation they find themselves in and they didn't have any other alternatives. And that's the reason why His Excellency is going beyond just making sure that they stay in IDP camps, is making provisions for them in schools and also making provision for them for businesses, another thing, and farms, and whatever thing else they can do to sustain themselves while they're in the temporal camps where they should be taken back to their places as soon as the issues of insecurity are taken care of.
All right, and would you say that these attacks are um, ethnic and religious based?
I can't say that for sure. I've been telling you time and again that these are attacks coming in for the plans of these people that are coming against Benue people now is to annihilate them, to kill them, to destroy them, to take over their lands, to occupy their lands. I can only tell you about the security information we have, and for the information that is at our disposal now, none of this thing is religious based. It's not about ethnicity. It's about criminals. It's about terrorists. It's about headers who are willing to take, who are moving in to take over the lands of the Benue people.
Okay, now how, in your opinion, how can this crisis be mitigated? And do you think local and international organizations can help with this issue? And how can they help?
Well, for every crisis, for every situation that destabilizes the people, whatever local or international aid that can come is very helpful. So I believe very strongly that if any of these organizations are able to step in to quell the crisis, of course, it will go a very long way to help and the proper solutions to what we're looking for. What we're looking for is a solution. It doesn't matter where it comes from, as long as the solution comes. And so I heard the Pope praying for the people of Yelwata because information has got to him what is happening and the other people, other national and international organizations and people are also aware of what is going on. Whatever steps that can be taken to mitigate this situation, it will be a very welcome idea and a welcome development.
And furthermore, how can the government be held accountable when it comes to ensuring, the safety of its citizens, particularly in issues like this?
Accountability in this situation is about stepping up the game. And like the president had deployed the IG, the CDS to come to Benue to ensure that the crisis ends. That's exactly how to step up the game. And so he has sent in the people, and the CDS particularly made a statement. He said that going forward, the tactics that have been employed before now are going to be changed because since what was being said, used, or what the tactics that was being used is no longer working, there's every reason for them to change tactics. And so when you step up the game, you become more accountable for what's happening, you become more responsible, you take more charge of what is happening. Then, of course, is a situation where the government needs to pay more attention. Of course, it is paying more attention as it is now that they have seen Benue State, particularly where the CDS has been sent, the IG has been sent, and other people have been sent, and the president himself is coming to see for himself what is happening and to give directives as to further enhance the bringing the crisis to an end. That's about stepping up the situation as far as the government is concerned, and there's so much more that can happen in areas of collaboration in areas of information sharing between, for instance, the Office of the National Security Advisor and the people of Benue State, the government of Benue State. That helps them to prepare and to take care of the people much better with information they get. So when that is happening, people are stepping up their game because they have information at their disposal. Security in Nigeria is at the hands of the federal government. It's in the hands of the federal government. It's only what they deploy to states that they can use. And so if we have more at our disposal, then of course we'll be able to do much more.
Yeah, and speaking of security, and the security, particularly when the response rather to these incidences usually come after the harm has already been done, and it's more of a situation where we try to salvage what is left. So how can, the state at its level create a more rapid response, with the security, the police and other security outlets when issues like this arise, instead of when
Uh,
after the the incident has
You see, that's
occurred.
what I've been talking about intelligence sharing. Because what you're talking about is being proactive, avoiding it from happening before it happens. That has to do with getting information intelligence, getting intelligence from the communities, getting intelligence from the police, getting intelligence from the security officers of what is going on. So what we have advocated for is more sharing of such information from the National Security Advisor's Office and from other national security offices. But we also need to ask them, the security officers also need to step up their game. That's what we're talking about. They need to be more investigative, they need to be more proactive. That's what we're saying. Now, the more you get to know what is happening ahead of time before it happens, the more the capacity to prevent it before it happens. So you don't have to start running helter skelter when it happens, but you are proactive in preventing it before it happens.
All right, and finally, as you know, the media aid to the state, what are you doing to restore, public trust among these people, particularly with the state government, and keeping them, informed and just helping out in this
I must tell you,
situation?
that is one of the most difficult times for me as a person because when people are angered, when people are angry, sometimes they can hardly even listen when you're talking to them. And so, whatever you say at the point where people are angry, even when you're trying to calm down situations, some people look at it wrongly and look at it from a different point of view. But we're doing the best we can. What we do daily is to try to encourage the people to let them know that government do, especially the actions that government is doing, to encourage their hearts, to let them know that government is not just sitting back and watching things happen, but there are situations. I mean, they are taking steps to ensure that we bring an end to what is happening. Encouraging them constantly to stand before His Excellency the Governor. letting them know the efforts he's making. And of course, we stand with them in their pain. We're not citizens from another country. We also belong to Benue State. We're also citizens of Benue State. We feel the pain they feel. We're in the same shoes that they are. The difference is we're in government and they're not. But they need to understand that His Excellency is working tirelessly, and we're also with them in this situation. And it's more pain than anyone else that this thing is happening the way it is. We're hoping above everything else that this finally comes to a close. So we do our best in trying to reach out to them as much as we can, giving them step by step information as what is happening, the crisis areas, what donations have been brought, and what hopes there are. And sometimes, most often than not, I also call for suggestions because there could be someone out there who has a solution to what we're looking at without us knowing. So instead of blame games every time, I encourage people as much as possible, bring in your own suggestions and let's see how we can also apply this as far as is humanly possible to bring such crisis to an end.
Doing enough in regards to that. So what's your response?
I didn't hear you.
I said, well, you mentioned the efforts you are making and the state government as well is making in this situation. But to some people, they feel that the state government is actually not doing enough to help out in these times, or to to nip this situation on the bud. So what's your response to that?
Well, what I would say is it's rather unfortunate if anyone at this point does not believe the information we pass out, because there cannot be any more information more true than what we're telling them. Now, when you say the government is not doing enough, sometimes I ask because people have confronted me and I've told them the government is not doing enough. And I ask, okay, I agree with you that we may not be doing as much as you expect us to do, but what are the other suggestions that are there for us to do? Humanly speaking, we think to be able to empower the security forces to put them out there, provide for them all the vehicles they need. Like I told you earlier, 100 trucks, Hiluxes to all the security agents in the state, 600 motorbikes to get into the hinterlands where the people cannot, where the cars cannot go to, setting up the Benue Civil Protection Guards to be able to help us with information as things come. All right. Now putting together a joint task force of Ayanyo to be able to curb situations, and this is made up of all the security forces at our disposal in the state. It's just remaining for His Excellency to carry a weapon himself and get into the bush. All right. Now these are the efforts that are being made. There could be other efforts. And some of these things are not put on the table for people to know. It's not every security plan that is put on the table. Because by the time you put it out there, the enemy already knows what you want to do, and then he's out there to stop you. But the constant understanding you need to have is there are efforts being made constantly. No governor likes to sit down and watch his people being fed. Nobody. He's not a ritualist. What is he doing with the dead people? Nobody likes that to happen. But more so, the man is a priest. He feels the pain of this people. As a God-fearing man, he cries out every time, even to God, to help him out in this situation. So what else can a man do? So I keep
You,
asking time and
Honorable
again, if
Samuel
there are other
Ayope,
efforts.
for this interesting discourse. He is the SA Media to the Governor of Benue State. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, and we'll go on another short break, and when we come back, we have more conversations for you. Stay with us.
Save Nature TV. News in your pocket.